Which report?
On the 5th.
Oh, this person did a report?
No. She's got off for safety info from June. Yeah.
What's that?
She called for a DV, she let him in, and then just started talking all crazy about how the officers weren't going to leave, and she had attacked her sisters, and then
she got a mental caution on her?
She got officer safety caution.
Okay, but no mental on her?
Just curious. No, but this is the first. I've been out here for another DV with her son.
Wait, is this the one with like the 3 kids?
Yeah. So this gal, she was the one making all these weird statements about how her and our daughter are going to turn into wolves.
Oh, she didn't want to let them leave.
Yeah.
Oh, golly.
Yeah.
Don't let her behind us. I thought you said, we're saying that she wanted them to leave.
No.
She branded specific.
No.
There's a kidnapping.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Hello, good morning. Did you call for this?
Yes.
Okay. All right, can we come in? What's going on this morning?
There was breaking. Someone broke in the house into my things.
Oh. What's your...
Yeah, well, I just ran out to the door, so I left it unlocked.
Okay. Okay. Does anyone... Do you have any idea who it might have been or anything like that? Or...
I have no idea.
You said the door was unlocked?
Yeah. But if you could tell, like, it was like...
And what's your name? And then contact number.
Is there anything else that was in your house while you were gone?
They went to the light. Bag that I had open, I just when I closed it, that was a Rambosk.
Oh. Yeah. So you said an Xbox was taken?
Yes.
And then what was this attack that you might have?
Get back.
Get back. Good.
That's second. Hey! We need help. We got 129. Hey, get back! Get back!
Is that this morning, just before 10 o'clock, officers arrived here in the 6800 block of 62nd Avenue Northeast. It was a call of a burglary. We were here to meet with one of the residents. Typically that would be a one officer call, but there was some information in the system. Officers had dealt with this particular unit, this particular caller just recently. There was some hazard information in there, so that prompted a second officer to respond. So the 2 officers did respond. They went up to the 4th floor to meet with the caller. on this burglary call. At some point, the 30-year-old female was armed with a knife. Both officers had to fire their service weapons, striking the individual. Unfortunately, it is a fatality. Officers immediately performed first aid until the fire department arrived, but the fire department declared her deceased at the scene. There were children that were in the apartment. They are unharmed. They are being taken care of right now. As you can imagine, this is going to be a very thorough investigation. We have detectives from the Force Investigation Team on scene, crime scene investigators, a number of officers here at the scene, and we are beginning our investigation. So that's about all the information I have at this point. I'm happy to answer any questions that I can.
Did children witness the shooting?
That's what we're trying to find out. It's my understanding that they are, some of the children are very young, but again, the important thing is that
COMO News starts right now.
And we begin with a developing story, a family demanding answers tonight after a woman was shot and killed by Seattle police officers right inside her Sandpoint apartment. Investigators say she was armed with a knife at the time officers went to her home to investigate a burglary. COMO's Steve McCarron spoke to the woman's siblings. He is live near Magnuson Park with the very latest on this case. Steve.
And Michelle, several of those family members have identified the woman who was shot and killed here by police as Charlena Lyles. Understandably, they are incredibly upset by what happened and how the situation was handled by police. Lyles' brother says she was a mother of 4 and 3 of them were here at the time. It is tough to watch.
You guys could have tased her, anything. She's no threat.
Family members overcome with emotion after learning officers had shot and killed a woman inside her apartment just feet from Seattle's Magnuson Park. The woman's sister says it was unnecessary.
How is she a threat? What is she gonna do to all you police? You men. I can take her down. I know you can.
Investigators say the woman was already known to officers when 2 of them arrived at her 4th-floor apartment this morning to investigate a burglary report.
the suspect was no longer on scene, and it was basically we need officers to come out to take a report.
At some point, Detective Mark Jameson says the woman was armed with a knife. It's not clear what prompted the officers to shoot her just inside her front door, but she was hit several times and died.
I mean, they came here on multiple counts, so I know that they had to have known that anything that was wrong with her, they already assumed and knew. And I just don't know why they come in there forcefully trying to shoot her, because she's not going to be in that type of harm.
The woman's family says she had some mental health issues that she was trying to get help for and had just been released from jail on Wednesday. Investigators won't go into detail about what happened, but officers did arrest her earlier this month on several charges in connection with another incident at her home.
But the obstruction was she wouldn't let go of her baby until I got here and she had some scissors in her hand. She didn't charge nobody or nothing.
And investigators say that officers tried to perform CPR on Lyles before firefighters arrived, but it was already too late. We're told none of her children were physically hurt. Live in Seattle, Steve McCarron, COMO News.
Steve, thank you. And Mayor Ed Murray here in Seattle released this statement late this afternoon about that shooting. It says in part, today's incident is a tragedy for all involved. My thoughts are with the many people impacted, including 3 children and the responding officers.
Well, here at home, a mother of 4 shot and killed by police after they say she was armed with a knife.
But tonight, the woman's family still has so many questions about how this happened. Annie Andrews is live for us at a memorial for the mom tonight. Annie.
Yeah, we're right outside where this incident happened early this morning, and community members are coming out in droves, lighting candles, making signs to make sure that Charlena Lyles' family know that they are in their thoughts and prayers. Now, Charlena Lyles' siblings tell me the 30-year-old mother recently learned she was 3 months pregnant. They say she found out when she was arrested last week, and it's part of her long history with police that they say should have protected her from today's shooting.
take her to jail, take her to mental health. Take her to mental health. She has mental health issues.
This video is shot moments after Moniqua Williams learned her sister was shot and killed by police. Her anguish is met with absolute disbelief.
How is she a threat? What is she gonna do to all you police? You big men. I can take her down. I know you can.
This is 30-year-old Charlena Lyles.
She's only like 80 pounds.
Her brother says she's roughly the same size as her 10-year-old son.
She's not big at all.
It's why news of the shooting is coming as such a shock, because of her size and because of her history. Lyles is known to police. In fact, her family says she was arrested earlier this week on an unrelated incident and released. Police say it's the reason they sent 2 officers to her home instead of 1 on Sunday morning.
Officers had dealt with this particular unit, this particular caller just recently. There was some hazard information in there, so that prompted a second officer to respond.
The caller was Lyles. She asked for police to come to her house and take a report. Although police would not confirm what the hazard information said, her family tells us she has a history of mental illness, was formerly homeless, and trying to turn her life around. But when police got there, they say she confronted them with a knife.
Both officers had to fire their service weapons, striking the individual.
If worse came to worse, it'd use a taser instead of a gun to somebody that has 3 kids inside of her house.
Police confirm 3 children were home at the time of the shooting. Her sister says those children are now with family.
She had a knife, you could have knocked it out of her hand.
What they say they don't know is why deadly force was used when their sister really needed help.
You guys could have tased her or anything. She's no threat. She's no threat.
Now we're told that police did administer life-saving techniques, but they were too late after she was shot. The mayor has released a statement calling this tragedy a shooting for everyone involved and pledging that it will be fully investigated. The 2 officers involved, we're told, are on paid administrative leave. Live here in Seattle, Annie Andrews, Q13 News.
All right, Annie, obviously this is a tragedy for everyone who is involved, but I'd like for you to address just some of the concerns that the family had when it comes to deadly force. They were concerned about her size, how something like that would play into this.
Well, officers obviously knew they were going to be dealing with something when they got there. I don't know if there was an officer safety warning on the alert when they got there, but they went there with 2 officers. When they see somebody with a knife, they're not looking at the size of the person. They are trained to stop deadly force, which a knife is, with deadly force. That's how they're trained. They are shown videos and have reaction scenarios that show how quickly somebody can get to an officer and kill them or seriously injure them with a knife. So they're following their training protocols. I can tell you no officer wanted to shoot her, but they're not trained to be ninja warriors and disarm them. They can try to back out, but none of us were there. And without some body cameras, without something else to show us what happened, we don't know if she was threatening or what she was doing and how she was behaving that forced them to feel like they had to fire. So I think there's a lot more that's going to come out, and we shouldn't rush to judgment at this time. But certainly, we can all understand the family's pain, you know, whatever the situation was.
All right.
Yeah.
Seattle police are trying to sort out what led up to an officer-involved shooting this morning near Magnuson Park. Investigators say a woman came at officers with a knife. The woman's family says she had a history of mental illness, and tonight King 5 was invited by the family to a small memorial outside her apartment building. King 5's Amy Marino has more on why they believe officers did not have to open fire.
Mom, they just shot Lena.
As soon as they got word, they rushed to the scene.
Lena, the police, Mom, they just shot her.
That's when family members learned the latest confrontation between Charlena Lyles and police had turned deadly.
She has a mental health issue that nobody is addressing.
Police say the 30-year-old woman called for help early Sunday morning, asking for assistance with a burglary. Officers arrested her just last week, and she'd had several run-ins in the past, so they sent a second officer this morning as a precaution. They say she came at them with a knife, and officers were forced to shoot. Family members believe it didn't have to come to this.
When they came here, they easily were able to apprehend her and take her to jail. And I don't know if she created a problem with it, why they couldn't have done the same thing. Or hopefully, if worse came to worse, they'd use a taser instead of a gun to somebody that has 3 kids inside of her house.
As police cleared the scene this evening,
she weighs 90 pounds soaking wet. She can't hurt nobody.
Family members invited us to gather with them outside her building to remember the young mother they lovingly called Lena.
Her kids would always know their mom. They would always know the kind of mom that she was. I mean, because she have 2 kids that are little and they don't understand.
Mayor Ed Murray issued a statement saying there'll be a full investigation to make sure the officers followed the proper procedures.
She was no monster. There's no way she could have hurt anybody. And justice just got to be served.
Dear gracious Heavenly Father.
They are praying for justice.
We're torn up. God is good, okay?
Yes, he is.
But believe her race and history of mental problems could make it tough to get fair consideration. Amy Marino, King 5 News.
I'll be around with boy 1 and boy 9. Arrest team 292, move in. Cars 1. Just got dropped off in a white car south of the Magnum. Just rolling slowly. Fuck is the white car with the south of the Magnum? Oh, right there. Turn around the corner. Around the corner. Once you guys move in. So, move in. Yeah! Get on the ground! Hands up! Right now! Hands up! Shots fired! Shots fired! Hands up!
Pregnant mom calls 911 for help. Police show up, kill her in front of her kids. A community is now mourning the loss of their beloved friend and family member whose 911 call ended tragically after police gunned her down. By Matt Agarist, June 19, 2017. Seattle, Washington. On Sunday, a pregnant mother's 911 call to police ended tragically after cops showed up to her home and killed her. A community is now mourning the loss of Charlena Lyles, whose 3 children will now grow up without their mom. Earlier this month, Lyles, 30, called police because she feared her ex-boyfriend may try to harm her. Lyles, who reportedly suffers from mental health issues, was arrested during that call for allegedly arming herself with a pair of scissors. After the arrest, she was released under the condition that she get some help with her mental health issues. On Sunday, Lyles called the police again, this time, to report an attempted burglary. The officers who responded to the mother's 911 call this time, however, were apparently less accommodating when it came to dealing with a mentally ill woman. When officers saw Lyles, armed with a knife, 2 of them opened fire and killed her. Why Lyles had a knife is unclear. However, if she was suffering from delusions, she could have simply feared the police after they showed up. How or why police shot is still unclear, with the department only stating that officers were confronted by a woman with a knife. Officers were confronted by a 30-year-old woman armed with a knife, the department wrote on its web blotter. Both officers fired their duty weapons, striking the woman. On their website, police noted that both officers had less lethal options available, however, they did not use them. Both officers were equipped with less lethal force options, per department policy. All Seattle police officers receive crisis intervention training, the statement read. Read more. Hilarious underage drinking prank, shines light on the good cop and exposes the bad. On Monday, police released the audio file from the officer's dash cam. From listening to the audio, it appears officers only took a few seconds after seeing Lyles with a knife, before killing her. The audio file depicts the conversation between the officers just prior to contacting the caller as they discuss the history of the residents and their concerns. The audio also captured some of the interaction with the caller prior to the rapid development of the use of force incident. Please note that all names as well as the caller's address and telephone number have been redacted. There were several children inside the apartment at the time of the shooting, but they were not injured, the department said. They are being cared for by other family members at this time. Follow. Bettina Hansen. Heavy checkmark at Bettina Hansen. Seattle Police DET Mark Jameson says a woman was shot multiple times by 2 responding officers to burglary call, kids in apartment at time. 3:57 p.m., June 18, 2017. Warren G. Magnuson Park. 9696 retweets, 3434 likes. Twitter adds info and privacy. Why couldn't they have tossed her? They could have taken her down. I could have taken her down, said Monica Williams, Lyle's sister. According to Lyle's family, she was a small and harmless woman who did not need to be shot. She was not a person you would fear or feel intimidated by, Domiko Jones, Lyle's brother said. There's no reason for her to be shot in front of her babies, Williams yelled at reporters. The Seattle police shot the wrong one today. According to the Seattle Times, King County jail records indicate Lyles was arrested and booked into jail June 5 for obstruction of a public official and 2 counts of harassment filed in Seattle Municipal Court. She was released conditionally June 14. Details of the June 5 incident were not immediately available. Read more. An FBI counterterrorism agent tracked me down because I took a picture of this. According to Lyle's family, the 30-year-old mother of 3 had been suffering from her mental illness for approximately a year. Her family told reporters they had tried to get her help. For now, Lyle's family is trying to keep her children, one of whom has Down syndrome and requires round-the-clock care, from going to the state. Sadly, her children being taken by the state was one of Lyle's biggest fears, according to her family. Dozens of family members and friends gathered at her apartment complex Sunday evening to hold a vigil for Lyle. They chalked her name on the pavement while still in disbelief that something like this could happen. Each time she called, it cost her something, said Wanda Cockerhern, a cousin. This time it cost her her life. As the Seattle Times reports, among those assembled at Lyle's home was Andre Taylor, an activist whose brother, Che Taylor, was fatally shot last year after a confrontation with police. He said a family member of Lyle's had contacted him for advice. They haven't gone through this, he said. I have. Taylor, 46, was gunned down last year, also on a Sunday. He was suspected of buying and selling substances deemed illegal by the state. When police attempted to kidnap him for selling these substances, they killed him in the process. The entire ordeal was captured on police dashcam. After they killed him, police quickly took to the local news to smear and shame their victim, posting photos of the illegal substances and releasing Taylor's criminal history in a futile attempt at justifying his death. Read more. After they convicted her of assault on police, 2 years later, new video shows cops attacked her. Because Lyles never had a history of drug abuse, this same victim-shaming option was not available for their most recent kill.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH, and I wanted to explain what fair use is. You can use pieces of news articles if you're doing it for news reporting, you have commentary, and you're doing it for education purposes. So that's what fair use is, as you can see right here. Another reason why I wanted to make this video is to let you know I just joined with Patreon. A nice thing with Patreon, I make no money on YouTube. They took the money away years ago, and so this is another way to give, and it's a nice thing too because you can give monthly. You can give $1, $5, $10, whatever. I do 4 to 5 hours a day on trying to wake the sheeple up on how corrupt it is and different ways that you can fight the corruption. So Patreon is a way that you can do it, and then of course the old way is still there. Donate to Charlotte County COPWATCH with PayPal or credit card. So keep that in mind. 4 to 5 hours a day. I make no money, but the corruption happened to me and I'm sick of it, so I'm trying to wake people up. But my wife would love it if if we could get some help out there. There's 47,000 subscribers. Just think if each one of you subscribers just gave a, let's say, actually, yes, $1 a month. 47,000 subscribers gave $1 a month. That would be awesome. That's not going to happen. But anyways, that would be great if it did happen. But, you know, do the math in your head. Just think about it. Like I said, 4 to 5 hours a day. I get no money from YouTube. YouTube has gone nuts. You can't do anything anymore. They're taking the money away everywhere. So these are a couple different ways that you can still help out with all this time that I put in. And as you know, I'm in a special situation where, you know, at least I can do it. You know, 4 to 5 hours a day. We have a cleaning company during the day. That's what allows me to do this, and we're debt-free. So this is my hobby. I don't go fishing and all that other crap. I try to save the world. So help me out to make the wife happy, man. In fact, if you guys did give $1 a day, and there was 47,000 of you, and you did it, and each of you gave $1, and that was every month, oh my God, yes, I could quit. I could start suing them. Another idea, too, that we have is, you know, if I got, you know, some funds, we could actually contact everyone that has been ticketed and or arrested and put in jail and start sending them postcards to let them know we're here and to see if everything went all right, and if it didn't, find out their story. So we could even do more investigations and more lawsuits. Lawsuits take money. So just think about that. You know, 47,000 of you so far right now. You know, $1 a day. I mean, $1 a month on Patreon, or $5 a month Patreon, 10, 20, whatever. Just do the math in your head. Help out. This is a lot of work every single day. Thanks.